All right, I think we're live, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Cresta, if you can put in my document if you can hear me and see me. Oh, okay. Yeah, welcome back, guys. If you were here for my last one of these, where I was reviewing websites, it didn't go so well because I got a new computer that I think was not powerful enough for all the streaming. So basically, there was a lot of downtime. But the good news is tonight we're not reviewing websites. I'm just answering questions. So I think things are going to go much smoother. And I've got my old laptop here doing double duty here. So I think we should be just fine. But I hope everything is going well for you guys. And I hope this later start time, 7 p.m. for me in Chicago, is working out better for you guys. I know you work during the day. I get it. So if this works better for you guys, I would be happy to keep it at this time. So yeah, let me know in the comments if it's kind of if it works out better for you to do it at night. So I'm seeing from Actual Health, are you doing site reviews today? No, I'm not. I'm planning on every other month doing a website reviews session. And then every other month, I'm just kind of answering questions about your websites, your digital marketing, any of that good stuff that I talk about. So that's what we're doing today. And the next one, next month, I'm going to mute this real quick. The one next month is actually going to be interesting because we're going to be reviewing your sites on mobile. So I'll plug my phone in and we can get a good look at what your site actually looks like on a mobile device, which that's the part where a lot of people kind of trip up and they don't finesse it the right way. So I got your back. We're going to look at all that stuff next time. All right. So I think that's everything I've got to say out of the gate. So anyway, let's just get on. Oh, and Sunny is saying this time is great. My coach Cliff is saying this time works for me too. Perfect. So I hope we'll get, oh, sorry, made that too big here. Get that back over, it's fine. All right. So anyway, guys, let's get on with the questions. I plan on going for maybe as long as an hour and a half, depending on how many questions we get. So let's get to it. The first one is from Maria Fernandez. Hey, Maria, she says, is there a best and quickest way to get ranked in Google for a new page? Yeah, Maria, there is. I've actually got a video coming out in the subject kind of soon, so interesting timing. But the way I recommend really handling SEO in a brand new website, the best possible way is to do really have a content marketing focus, meaning you have to have the right mix of blog posts. And and even if you do it right, using what I call the content cluster method, which is basically having a few, really what I call pillar posts. I didn't come up with that term. I've read that. I think that's possibly Neil Patel came up with that. But it's a pillar post, very in depth about one of the things you talk about. I think in my video that's coming out, I use the example of a lawn care company. So you might have one really in-depth article about lawn care, then another one about tree maintenance, then another one about flowers and planting stuff in your yard. These are very in-depth articles, probably over 2,000 to 3,000 words with different sections within it. So that's one piece of it. You just do a couple of those. Then how you bolster this all up is you basically add what we call keyword posts to the mix, so think about if you've got that lawn care post, you've got one article all about lawn mowers, right? One all about fertilizer, possibly, all these different elements of it. And that would be, about 1,000 to 2,000 words. And then you would go the next step by having question answer posts. These are much shorter, like 300 words where it basically just very quickly and succinctly answers a question that you get that people are actually typing into Google. So, and then between all these three kinds of posts, there's a whole lot of linking going on between them. So in that pillar post, you're gonna have a little section about fertilizer and you're gonna link to that longer article about fertilizer. So hopefully this makes sense and you can figure out how to apply this to your site. Caveat, it doesn't work overnight. There's really nothing, there's not a lot you can do to rank a site like super quick. Google just doesn't keep up that way and they will always reward sites that have been around a little longer. So when we say quick, we really mean a few months probably. So if you're really wanting to rank quickly, then unfortunately you kind of have to use paid traffic. Google ads, map ads, I really love those. So these are things you can do to do, while you wait. You can basically add your strategy with that. Okay, next question is from my coach Cliff. He says, do you have any recommendations for drip emails? What is the timing? And do you have a preferred copywriter? I do have a preferred copywriter. I use, I don't want to say his name because then everyone's going to bombard him, but it's fine. He's been on my podcast. His name is Jules Dan. He writes all my emails, and he does a great job of it because he uses stories in them. He basically makes it interesting by having a hook, like telling a story about how I discovered this topic or how I helped a client through this with this particular topic. So yeah, his name's Jules Dan. And recommendation for drip emails. So the timing, basically, the way I recommend handling this is you get someone on your email list through that, helpful piece of content, the lead magnet, and then you deliver that email right away, immediately. Then, generally speaking, anywhere from 3 days to a week later, you give them their first other email, just a helpful piece of content. Then you space them out about a week apart. You can go more often, but I find that can be a little aggressive sometimes, even if your emails are genuinely helpful. Sometimes people don't want to get bombarded with this stuff. So I like the 1 week apart timing. But keep in mind, you want all of these to be, almost all of them, I'll get to it in a second, to be helpful emails, delivering value, right? Linking to a blog post, linking to a video you did, or just a quick little tip or piece of advice right there in the email, or a little case study about somebody and what they did to achieve results. Then every fourth email or so, it can be more promotional in nature. It can basically be driving them toward taking an action you want them to take, whether it's downloading another lead magnet or scheduling a consultation call, whatever that is. And to make things a little more, interesting for you, you can end every single email, even the helpful. I don't know why I'm doing that. They should be actually helpful, not in quotes helpful. At the end of every one of those, you sign your name, not from the company, from you, because remember, we're sending these emails as if they're from a person. And then at the end of it, you do a PS line. By the way, if I can help you out with any of this stuff, or if you want to take the next step, click here to schedule a consult, call this number, whatever your call to action might be. All right. Next question is from Actual Health. And that is, should you include pricing on the website or leave them out for the initial consultation? Love this question. I have a whole video on this question. You should always include pricing, even if it's not hard and fast, actual listed prices. You want to address pricing for a few reasons. The first reason being, and this is kind of where a lot of people, who was I talking to? Just like this past week, it came up in a phone consultation I had where they were asking this question, and I think their parent company didn't want them to do this because they're like, oh, well then what are they going to call us for if they already know the price? That gets them to call us. It doesn't work that way. When's the last time you were not ready to buy something yet and you actually called them knowing full well you're going to be sitting on now a sales call just to ask that question? Very few people are willing to do that early on in the game. So you want to make it easy for them. Give them some pricing information, even if it's just a ballpark range. Or basically, here's the thing you can do if you really can't list out any prices at all. Because I get it. A lot of people, they have to bid jobs out, right? It's not like you've got a price for this and this and this. You have to bid it. So what you can at least do is give ranges with basic things that they should bear in mind. Like, okay, these are things that will drive the price up. These are things that will keep you in the bottom range, stuff like that. That's what I recommend doing. And if you do list hard prices, here's something interesting too. Don't go overboard with it. But I don't know why I always think this, but whenever I go like to a spa or something to get a massage or whatever, they've got that like big list of like every possible thing and you're confused by it, right? So don't do that unless you are a spa service and you kind of have to list out the prices. Just kind of make it simple. I like a good, better, best model where 3 prices, if you can possibly do that, even if it's 3 ranges. All right. Let's see. Best Troy Casanova. How's it going, Troy? Troy's always here. He's our old standby here. So he says best tool to measure speed of a website for SEO purposes. So yeah, super important question because obviously we want our sites to load quickly for Google and for the people coming to your site. Most people will not stick around for longer than 3 seconds. That's not a lot of time. So what you want to do is balance out. Well, first of all, before I get to the tool, I do want to mention this. There's a difference between page load and like the whole page loading time. That can take a little longer, but what you want to do is get with your developer, figure out a way, and even if you don't have a developer, this is something you can do it mostly all yourself, and then just go on like Upwork and find a developer to quickly go in and take care of the speed issue for you. Basically making sure that at least the above the fold stuff, when they first get to your site, that all loads really quick. You want that to go like under 3 seconds for sure. The rest of it can take a little time while they're digesting that. Things can kind of load, and then we get into what we call lazy loading, where as you scroll down, now things start loading just when they're below the surface, right? So that's something you can do to save time as well. But in terms of checking, there's a few tools. There's the Google Page Speed Insights. That one's coming right from the horse's mouth, right? That's Google themselves. The one I like better, though, is actually, it's called GT Metrics with an X at the end. And that basically gives you a really comprehensive picture of how long things are taking. And it gives you like a nice little list of all the things that you or your developer can work through to make it work faster for you. All right. Next one is from Timebox Moments in Media. And they say, wanting to run Facebook ads to promote a Facebook group, what objective would be best to choose to try to get people to click or join the group? I'm taking a drink of water because I'm stalling because I don't know the answer to this. I've never, I'm hearing so much about Facebook groups as a way to get people into your world. It's a great way to get, it's like email marketing, but I won't say better because I think email marketing is still the best thing, but it's like kind of an alternate way of having that list of people. Let me just think this out. So if you want people to join your Facebook group, I think, gosh, I have to think there's probably an objective in Facebook that's for this. I hate to pass you off, but I think you're just going to need to Google this one because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I don't really have a whole lot of experience with, I've got a Facebook group for my paid program, but like I'm not actively soliciting people to join that one. They just know about it when they join my program. So sorry about that. I wish I could help you because that's a very interesting question. Okay, from Timothy Eberly. He says, can you recommend a keyword planner that helps reword a site better to better meet public? I need to reread this one again. Can you recommend a keyword planner that helps reword a site to better meet public? I'm sorry, Timothy, I'm not understanding that question. If you can clarify that, that would help. I don't know of any keyword planners that reword your websites. Keyword planners generally, they come up with other keyword suggestions, like giving you keywords that people are actually typing into Google. And that should help you actually like write for the site a little bit because you want to use the words that people are actually using. But and if you're just asking for a keyword planner, I like Ubersuggest is a good free one. And then KW Finder is a good paid one. Used to be free, it's not anymore. But Ubersuggest is really good and it's free. And they, Neil Patel, this is my second Neil Patel reference tonight. He says he's going to keep it free. So, we know how that generally goes, but he says that he's going to keep it free. So, and if Timothy, if I didn't answer your question, please try to rephrase it and I'll get to it later. Okay. Beverly Richards says, do you have any feedback on Google My Business posting? Um, Again, I'm not quite sure of the question. Do you mean the posts that you can put on Google My Business? So when you set up your profile, they let you do what they call posts. And in my video last year on Google My Business, like how to make the most of it, I did talk about this. But you know what? I don't see too many people doing it. And I think it can be good when you have a special offer to put in front of people. Because think about when you look up a company and then in the Google search results, there's that, left or right hand sidebar thing that has the name of the company, all their information. And then if you have a post, it's going to be right there. So I do think it's valuable if you have something that you really want to make sure that is in people's face, whether that's a special offer or promotion, or I would say a lead magnet would be great to put there. But the problem with these posts is they don't stick around. They kind of make you redo them every week, I think. I think it can only stick around for a week. So they truly are like a moment in time thing. So you have to constantly keep up with them. But if you have something that you want people to see, like a promotion, I think that's perfect for it. Okay. From Rachel, she says, do you have any recommendations, resources for individuals trying to build private practice? I'm not sure of that question either. Trying to build any recommendations of resources. That's a really broad question. So if you can be more specific, that'd be great. From Ross Realty Group, what are some best ghostwriter resources to write articles? Okay. I like this question a lot because I don't know if you're going to like the answer to it, unfortunately. I'm sure there is a way to do this, and here's the way I'll recommend you do this, because I'll rewind and go back in time to when I was really making a big effort before I was doing videos, I was doing a lot of like guest blogging and blogging on my own site. And I had the bright idea that I was just going to outsource that part. I was busy with client work. I wanted to kind of come up with ideas for articles, and then maybe like a few inspiration sources that people could draw from, and then hire someone like a writer who could take these, 3 existing blog posts and kind of research their own version of it, kind of mixing points and stuff. And then I'd give them a few of my own points too. The problem is when you have an article like this that is meant to be read and paint you as the expert, I don't know about you, I can always tell when an article was researched and regurgitated by a writer. So all that to say, what you really want to do is, so do not go with like, me, I always talk about the Hoth. I love me some Hoth. They're a great SEO firm. Sorry guys, I don't recommend going with them or anyone like that to write articles. They're meant for SEO, nothing more. That's not going to do you a lot of good in the long run. So what I'd recommend actually is going on something like Upwork, and finding someone who's not only a writer, but also like a fairly expert in your topic. You want someone who knows that topic, and maybe you can't find that person on Fiverr, right? So like if you're, I'm in a Facebook group where someone was talking about, she was trying to get someone to write article. Her big topic is she's a bird watcher, right? So she finally had to hire someone to write articles, but she couldn't hire a writer. She had to hire an actual birder who knows about that topic. It's more important they know the topic than they're a good writer, in other words. So don't make the mistake of thinking writers can write about anything. All they can really do is research and then restate what they've written, and it comes out sounding like a term paper. I used to have, virtual assistants do this for me too, and they just came out like a virtual assistant wrote it. It just wasn't their area of expertise. So anyway, hopefully that doesn't dissuade you, but there's ways of finding, you just have to find the right person for the job. Okay, from Philip Gilmore, should we post on LinkedIn? Yeah, hold on. I'm not stalling this time, I promise. should we post on LinkedIn? I do think LinkedIn has its purpose especially if you're B2B, obviously. And I like LinkedIn because it's an easy way to repurpose stuff you've already got. So I could be doing a live stream on LinkedIn right now too if I wanted to. I don't have the software for it right now, but it's something I'm thinking about because it's a great way to basically if you're doing videos, what you don't want to do necessarily is put the whole YouTube length video on LinkedIn because YouTube videos can be, I recommend them being about 8 to 12 minutes. On LinkedIn, though, they're much shorter little snippets, more like Facebook videos. So you would just kind of chop it up into little segments and put it on there. Let's say you have a blog post, you might do a really short version of it and then link to it in the first comment. That's important. I learned that the hard way. You don't want to include a link in your article to your website. You do kind of a short version of it, and then in the first comment, you write the first comment and say, for the full article, click here. But yeah, LinkedIn is definitely worth using as I would say a secondary resource, but I know some people, that is their big push. And I think the bigger thing to take away from this is figure out what your best social media platform is. It might be LinkedIn for you. That might not be a secondary thought. That might be where your ideal clients are. So if that's the case, then absolutely, yes, make that your first priority. If it's not, really easy place to post what you've already got, change it up a little bit, make it a little more LinkedIn ready, but absolutely, LinkedIn is a great resource. I'm still kind of figuring out my voice on LinkedIn. What I'm thinking I'm going to be basically chopping up this live video into one question at a time chunks and then putting them there. So FAQs are perfect for that as well. Okay, next one is from Ambition Data. Call to action question. Should we be pushing to set an appointment or a more vibrant call to action, such as a gated video? Our site is a new hybrid of consulting and software as a service. Okay, so these are basically two calls to actions you want. You've got a primary call to action, which is setting up an appointment, and then your secondary call to action, which is to get on your email list. That's the gated video. So what I recommend is, and by the way, it's really up to you to determine if you know that downloading that video is like going to result in way more people signing up for a consultation with you, and hardly anyone does it on their own, you might want to push that list building thing, the freebie, as your main call to action, your primary. And then you might want to have set a consultation as kind of a secondary one underneath it. So the way it would look, imagine a big call to action button in your hero section, download or watch our free video, free masterclass, whatever, that underneath it, simple text link says, no thanks, I'm ready to do business. Something like that. So they would click the button to get the video, they'd click that if they're just ready to go, because some people are, right? So ask yourself what's the more important thing, but ideally you want both on there. So hopefully that helps. Okay, from EG, how do I start SEO on a fresh new site? So I think this is a little different than the first question we got, which was all about how to do SEO on a brand new site, which is I talked all about content marketing. But this one seems a little bit more like it's just about how do you get the SEO started. First of all, you definitely want to install, I'm assuming you're on WordPress, most people are now, but if not, figure out a different version of this. If you're on WordPress, Rank Math is like my favorite SEO plugin. It makes it really easy to see how you're doing. Makes it really easy to put in your titles and your, for your search descriptions and your H1 tags and all that geeky SEO stuff. And then the second thing you want to do once you've got that, you want to do your keyword research. You want to figure out what pages you want to rank for what terms, right? So generally speaking, you want your homepage to rank for the most broad thing you do. And then you want service pages or landing pages for the the more niche things that you do that people might be searching for. What you don't want to do is what people used to do a lot. Well, there's two things people used to do that aren't good. The first one is just trying to rank your homepage for everything. That just can't really work. The second is to have such minutia of landing pages where, like, if you're a lawyer, law firm, it would say law firm Chicago, and then another page lawyer Chicago. Like, you don't have to do with that, so you don't have to get that granular. What you want to do for any given landing page, what I like to do anyway, is one primary phrase and then 3 to 5 secondary phrases that you'll go for. So you make sure the primary phrase is definitely used in the H1 tag. Oh, and then, sorry. Here we go. Sorry, I keep losing the camera every now and then. Gotta restart it. And then you want to use that primary phrase probably in an H2 and then somewhere in the body a few times. And then the secondary phrases you can use just sprinkled throughout the subheaders, the H2s, H3s, and in the body copy. So just do your best there. Just have a good strategy going in, and you should be good to go. Okay. Next question from Stefan Martin, or Stefan, sorry, I don't know. Are there steps in Facebook ads you can take to fine tune your account? Maybe daily or weekly tuning like you can do in AdWords. Okay, so there's a few things. I don't know that this is your question exactly, but in terms of fine tuning your account, this isn't really fine tuning your ads per se, but it does help. What you want to do is be posting on your Facebook account, your Facebook business page that your ad account is set up with. Doing live videos periodically really helps. Basically, Facebook wants to see that you're actually posting, that you're actually doing stuff, that you're not just running ads, and they want to see engagement. The more engagement you get as a page, the lower your ad costs will generally become over time. So that's something that you definitely should be trying to do. I know it's not like the easiest thing to do to post all the time, but the other thing you can do, first of all, what you don't want to do is go in and start messing with your ads that are running and doing well. If you make any change in a Facebook ad, like any change to the ad copy or the image, guess what? It's a brand new ad now, and it goes back in the learning phase. And if you were doing well before, you may not be doing so well now. So don't do that. What you want to do, though, is there's a thing called ad fatigue, right? When you've got an ad that people are, let's say you've got an ad set actually with 3 different ads in it, and that's all sharing a budget. And if you have basically, once those ads start fatiguing themselves, meaning people keep seeing them over and over again, your costs start going up. What you can do to offset that is every so often add a new ad into that ad set. Don't take anything out of it, just add a new one. And this depends, how often you need to do this depends on your audience, your budget. Generally speaking, the more you're doing within that ad set, the more often you want to refresh it. If it's a smaller audience, it's not as important, but the more people you have, the more money you're spending, the more you want to do it. So hopefully that helps. I don't know if that's what you're asking for, but yeah, Google ads are different because you can definitely mess with those more and they're not going to have as much of an effect. But Facebook ads, you can't screw with too much. Okay, here we go. So we have a point of clarification, I think, from Timothy from earlier for keyword planner, alternate keyword planner. Again, I'm not understanding the question. I'm sorry. I'm going to need you to really spell out what you want me to answer for you. What is your goal, and what do you want this keyword planner to do for you? And I'll do my best. I'm sorry. All right. From Keep It Simple, should posts on Google be long posts or are short posts more effective? Okay, that's a good question. So generally speaking, longer tends to rank better. I'm trying to remember the study that basically said, I think the average page or post that ranks in the top, the first page in Google has, I think, over 900 words on it. So you want to start there. If you really want to rank And this, by the way, this is not for those little short FAQ posts that I was talking about, where the goal is generally to rank in the little snippet section. You know, when you're doing a Google search, like asking a very specific question, it'll generally come up at the top, like just kind of answering the question for you. That's a that's that kind of post. Those can be short, but anything else, a page you're trying to rank or a post you're trying to rank, try to make it over 900 words. But here's the caveat: do not pad it. Okay, we're not in high school trying to, the teacher says we have to write a 3-page report, so we're, double spacing it and we're using 5 words when 2 words will do. Don't do that. It has to be properly um, properly earning its length. So that just means add more value in it, not just more words. Okay. The next one from Hirin Darj. Oh, sorry. My assistant or community manager, Krista, is still typing into this one. So I'll get to. Yeah, I'm going to have to get back to that one in a second. My coach, Cliff, says, do we need a Facebook page? Is that needed or is it helpful? This one really depends on a few things. If you're doing Facebook ads, you need a Facebook page. You can't run ads without one. Um, Other than that, it really depends on what it is you're trying to. What are you going to put most of your effort behind? Are you going to have a Facebook focus? Because here's the thing with Facebook pages: organic reach is not what it used to be, right? We all know that. It's very hard, even if you've got 1,000 people that like your Facebook page. They say about, this is such a sad statistic. They say about 3% of those people will ever actually see your organic posts. So a Facebook page is helpful. I do think if you're a business, you should have one. It's more about how much of an effort you're going to put into it, right? I think if you're doing content elsewhere, wouldn't hurt to repurpose it on Facebook just to kind of when people are checking you out. And if people are Googling your business, that might be something that pops up near the top. Hopefully your website outranks it, but you want to have a presence on that first page of Google. So having a Facebook page there is good. They might click it. They might see you might have reviews there. It's a good way to add videos. They can be really off the cuff videos that build a little bit of trust with people. So it's really up to you if it's worth it, if it's worth the effort, but it's a good place to repurpose for sure. Okay. Sorry, my nose is super itchy tonight, and I don't know why. Okay. Let's see. Oh, where's the one we were? Okay. Going back to the last one from Hirin Darji. What is the best bidding strategy for Facebook and Google ads when you just started your ads? How many days before I can judge Facebook and Google if it's working fine after starting it? Best bidding strategy for Facebook and Google ads when you just started your ads. Okay, for bidding strategy, I just leave it on auction. I know there's other ways of doing it. I've never done anything else though. I think auction is just the way Facebook gurus always want you to do it. And then Google ads, I'm really not sure about that at all in terms of, I think that's just auction style as well. How many days before I can judge if it's working after starting it? So with Google ads, it's a little different because there's not really that learning phase necessarily. Assuming we're talking about search ads. Facebook ads, however, they have to go through a learning phase, and that generally takes around 72 hours before they really start fine-tuning what kind of people are clicking on this. Who are we supposed to show this ad to? This is where so many people run into problems with Facebook ads is they pull the plug after like 12 hours when they start seeing it's not working very well, but you haven't given them enough time. So I always say give it 72 hours at least, possibly a week, but use your intuition, use your judgment. If something feels off about it, I mean, I'm not saying pull the plug after 12 hours, but use your judgment. But I like 72 hours for that. Google ads doesn't really matter as much. They just generally start running because all they really are doing is they're taking search terms that you've put in there for them to go after. Okay. Next one is from, let's see, Joseph Cintron. Our Facebook page is getting likes, but no phone calls. How do I get people to call? Yeah, so This is something I'm not super versed on, like getting people to take action from a Facebook page. I know that there's call to action buttons on there. I don't think that's probably the best way to do it though. I don't think most people are going to click to call from a Facebook page. Um, I think the better thing to, and by the way, I don't know what you do, Joseph, but generally speaking, the way I always talk about this, like 80 to 90% of people aren't ready to call you yet. They're trying to find information. So I would rather you send them to your website where you can really control that message and give people all those reasons, all the persuasion and the benefits and all that good stuff that I teach, the testimonials, before they're ever going to be ready to call. And furthermore, your website should be used to get them on your list so that way you're kind of pushing them closer and closer toward that phone call after a set amount of time, maybe a few weeks. Again, I don't know what you do. Maybe it's the kind of thing where they don't need that kind of lead time. Maybe you're, generally speaking, those like emergency services like plumbers, locksmiths, they don't really need that. But almost everybody else, if it's the kind of thing where people are weighing out options, they're researching, then you might need that lead time. Okay. Next one is from Morphine. All right. Best software of email marketing and free for beginners recommendations. Okay, so what's the best software for email marketing and that's free? So those are two questions. The best one is not free. I like Drip quite a bit, drip.com. That's who I use. I briefly, and they're not free. They're not super expensive, especially when you start, when your list is kind of smaller. They're pretty affordable. I want to say it's $50 a month. Don't quote me on that though, because I'm well above that threshold now, so I pay quite a bit more. And it got to the point where I was really trying to find other options that might be a little cheaper. And there's someone I listen to on her podcast, and she always talks about ConvertKit, and she talks about it in glowing terms. I think they're a sponsor of hers though. So basically, I did all the work of trying to transfer all my emails, all my stuff, all my list over to ConvertKit, only to realize right before I did, when I did a test email, I sent one to myself, and guess where it wound up? In the promos tab, not in the primary inbox. Not where you want to be, guys. You want to be in the primary inbox where people actually see your email. You're going to all this trouble. You're doing all this work of doing email marketing. You want people to see it, so it's worth spending a little bit of money on. Having said that, a lot of these guys, I think ConvertKit is free up to, I don't know, maybe 100, maybe 200 subscribers. I know MailChimp is that way too, but keep in mind you are giving up what we call deliverability with that. So really ask yourself if it's worth that. So, all right. Next question from, I'm so going to butcher this, Yedu Kandalu. All right. How do I manage leads in Good Sheets? What's your view on Fluent CRM? Okay, Good Sheets. I think it's like a paid version of Google Docs, if I'm not mistaken. I only know that because I used to work with a guy who I think works there now. I don't manage leads in that. I have an email marketing like I just talked about Drip. That's how I recommend doing it. I don't keep track of that stuff in a spreadsheet. I'm sorry. That's just way too manual. And I would highly recommend if that, and Fluent CRM, is Fluent the name of a CRM? I'm not quite familiar with that one. But even if it is, I don't know it, so I can't really give you my thoughts on it, unfortunately. All right. So guys, we're almost out of questions here. So if you've got one for me, go ahead and pop it in the chat now. Okay. This next one is the follow-up from Joseph Cintron. He's in health insurance, trying to remember the question. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, getting likes but no phone calls. How do we get people to call? Yeah, I think that's the kind of, health insurance is the kind of thing where people are going to want to do a little bit of homework. And the problem with health insurance is it's a really hard thing to crack in terms of the Google rankings, right? I'm sure you probably know that. So I would try to get people to your website where you can really try to make your case for why people would want to work with you over anybody else. Okay, so I would not try to get them to call right from Facebook. I think you're just missing a really important step there. Okay, so the next question is from Product Promotions. And he says, in 2020, is it worth it to create PBN links? So this is kind of a technical one. I'll be quick here. A PBN link is what we call a private blogger network. It's a little old school. It's kind of what SEO people would do in the day. It's kind of considered black hat or gray hat at least, meaning Google doesn't really want you to do this, right? So it's basically we're a group of I'll just say hackers for lack of a better term. We're all going to create all this network of blogs, and I'll link to you, you'll link to me, we'll link in a circle, and it was meant to get backlinks. So I will say this. I will not say don't ever. There's some people who be like, absolutely not, don't do it. I'm not going to tell you that, but it is gray hat. It's not what Google wants you to do, and it's not where the future of SEO is going. So having said that, though, I like backlinks coming from a variety of sources. You want the really good, high quality stuff coming from, guest posting on actual blogs that people read. Think like Forbes, but I mean that's a really hard one to get. Anything, just like DIY blogs or mommy blog, things that people actually read. PBNs, private blogging networks. No one's reading those. They're meant for pure SEO, and Google is kind of onto it. So be careful with it, because what you don't want to do is get a bunch of really spammy links that you end up having to what we call disavow, basically telling Google, hey, I know that's a really crappy link. I do not endorse that link. So take it off my profile, basically. I would probably do something else. Honestly, I'd probably get with someone like the Hoth to build backlinks for you that are just from a variety of sources. It's probably going to be much better in the long run for you. Okay, next we have from, I can never remember if it's Sarah Dog Training or Sarah, but sorry. From Sarah Dog Training, can you talk about pricing for an online course? All right. So that's not something I really cover on this channel, but having an online course myself, I know a little bit about this. So I assume this means you have kind of an online dog training course or something. Pricing is a really tricky subject, and there's a whole lot of price points you can go for. But I generally recommend charging, over $100 for something like that. Generally just because anything less than that, people are probably not going to actually go through with it. I mean, they'll buy it probably, but they're a lot less likely to engage with it, which when you're doing an online course, what you want is case studies, testimonials. And there's a phrase that is super cliche at this point, but it's true. Those who pay attention. So the more you charge, not saying like, rake people over the coals for it, but if you charge a good, healthy amount, that's, basically think about what you would charge someone to do it in person. And if you can give them almost as good of an experience, you can charge almost as much. And especially if you're giving them, membership in a Facebook group where you're answer all their questions for life or whatever, that drives the value up. My course is $597 on my website, so that's what I'm charging for that one. So let that go where it may. But what I don't recommend is doing the thing where people go on like Udemy or what's the Skillshare, things like that, where you're basically putting it on there and then they're discounting. They're basically charging people like 99 cents for your course, and you're seeing like 10 cents of it. It's not really worth it. So, but yeah, charge what you're worth for sure. Okay, next from Anastasios Lifas, any key tactics for Facebook ads? That's a really broad question. Key tactics, yeah, just in broadest terms, here's what I'll say. you either want to be advertising an offer of some kind, an actual offer, not just a general purpose. Here we are, we're a business in your neighborhood. Aren't we great? Those don't work. What you want to do is have an offer if you're kind of a local business, or if you're more of a high ticket business, a high, high dollar amount kind of thing. Generally speaking, you want to have basically a three-tier approach, a three-phase of ads approach. And I happen to be in a Facebook ads course right now by the great Amanda Bond, where I've learned it's connect, commit, close, right? So the connect ad is basically a really good video that does not feel like an ad at all. It's basically you teaching something, you giving away some free value, and then anyone who watches 3 seconds of that gets put into a remarketing audience where they get the next series of ads, which are getting people on your email list through a lead magnet or a webinar, that kind of thing. And then the third phase is anybody who signs up for that webinar or that freebie. Then they start getting the ads to actually convert into a customer. So, and ideally they should also be on your email marketing at that point too. They opt in for your lead magnet, they start getting emails, and now they start getting Facebook ads selling your service. So in broadest terms, that's what I recommend doing. If you don't do that, if you just do the general here we are ad, that is why people say Facebook ads don't work, is because they think just we'll put an ad up, we'll be rich. Doesn't really work that way. So, and the other thing too is, unfortunately, you kind of have to put enough money into them to see some results in general. If you're a local business, you can probably get away with like $5 a day. If you're more national, and especially if you're doing those three phases of ads, you need to put more money into it, probably at least $1,000 a month. Anything less than that, you're just not going to start getting, you're not going to build those cold audiences to get people all the way through it. So, really make a commitment to it if you're going to do it, and do your research too. And I do have a few videos that go into much more detail about Facebook ads. There's only so much I can say about it here, but check out those videos as well, and just have a good outlook about it. Know you're going to spend some money and really test things to make sure they're working. Okay. From Maria Fernandez, any recommendations on how to select hashtags for a services company where the audience is wide? All right, so hashtags, I assume we're talking Instagram. So generally speaking, what we like to do with hashtags is if you're posting on Instagram, they give you 30. You have 30 slots for hashtags. Some people say don't use all of them, it dilutes them. I say use all of them. I like to use all of them because they're extra chances for people to find you. But what you want to do ideally is split those hashtags between 3 levels of popularity, okay? You want to go for the really big money ones that are really broad and get a lot of search volume. The reason why you want to do these, even if you're small, is you have a small chance of, as soon as you post that, someone searching for that hashtag, and now you can show up in the recent results. You're going to really quickly get pushed down, but you have a chance for a lot of eyeballs right there. The second one you want to do is that medium popularity of hashtags. That's going to do kind of the same thing, but you'll be able to stay there for a little longer. And it's the keywords are a little less popular, but you have a little more staying power, like maybe an hour to a day. Then you want to round it out with the low popularity, the really niche kind of hashtags that really apply to you and your content. Those get a lot less search volume, but you guessed it, you'll stay there for a lot longer because there's less competition for it. And the other thing I'll say is make sure you're choosing hashtags that people are actually searching for, because we're going through all this Instagram stuff in my business right now, where I'm training my project manager with all the hashtags, and basically he was finding a lot of hashtags that were like web services or something like that. That is something that other web designers or web companies would put, but no business owners typing in web services or web designer, right? Because I don't think many people are like searching Instagram for their service providers, right? But they are searching for content. So do it that way. And then there's a tool I like called flick.tech. It's like $9 a month, I want to say. But yeah, it does a much better job of hashtag research than you can find just on Instagram itself. That's a little tedious. All right. From Gulf Coast Surf, how do you get your Google map at a public spot? I'm a fishing guide and have a hard time verifying a spot that has no address. Yeah, that's not going to work very well, unfortunately. You need to use an address. So, do you have an address? I'm sure you have a home address, right? So, what I would say is, if you really want to be found at this place, you have a few options. There's one that can work, and there's one that's really not going to work so well. The one that doesn't work so well is just to do a service area where you use your address, but it's not listed, and then you just say you list your little service area where you actually work. Unfortunately, if you don't list your address and make it public, you're never going to get a whole lot of that Google love. So what I'd recommend doing instead is, if you can possibly swing it, try to find the smallest little office space you can possibly find close to that spot. Anything that's verifiable. Yeah, and I don't know exactly what your situation is, but if there's nothing there, then unfortunately you're just going to have to do the thing that I said before and hope for the best. But I do, if you're competing against other people that have the same scenario, you might actually not be doing too badly. So it's all about what your competition's doing versus what you're doing. So yeah, good luck with that. Okay, what messaging, and this one does not have a name on it, but sorry about that. What messaging can you suggest for a new dentist website? How do you get leads or patients for a new dentist website? Yeah, so what I would recommend here, I've said it before, I actually love this for local businesses. I would highly recommend trying Spotify ads. They're great because they're super cheap, and you can target a local area, be it a zip code, be it a radius around your, I think you can do a radius. Don't quote me on that, but you can definitely target geographically. Go really tight. Think about how far away people are realistically going to come. I wouldn't do 20 miles. I would probably do 5, unless you're kind of in a more rural area where people will travel further. And then a dentist is a pretty wide array of people. So that's where Spotify ads are great, is if you have a local business and you have a wide variety of people using you. So basically you record a 30-second spot, or you have them do it for you. You just upload a script that's the right length for 30 seconds, going over your benefits, and ideally a special. You want to have some kind of a in-the-door special that's going to get them motivated to come in. And then the cool thing about Spotify ads too is it is not just, it's not like listening to the radio in the car where you have to remember it. You literally, it comes up on your phone listening to Spotify, and you say in the voiceover saying, tap the banner to learn more, to take advantage of this offer. And they tap and they go to your website. Pretty cool, right? So I would recommend that before you try Facebook ads, just because you're kind of the perfect fit for these. But try Facebook ads as well. But again, you want to lead with an offer, an in-the-door price special. All right, cool. Next one is from Juan Pimentel. It says, for testing demand on services, should I create the landing pages and run Google ads to check? Or should I do keyword research and then create landing pages for the keywords in my niche? This is okay, great question. So you want to test if there's a demand for what you have to offer. So yeah, I would, well, first of all, a good way to check on demand is to do that keyword research. If people are typing it into Google, there's a good chance there's a demand for it. But you might be in the situation where people aren't really looking for it, but once you put it in front of them, like on a Facebook ad or something, they're interested, right? So I don't know if that's which situation is yours. If it's the kind of thing like a dentist, like a plumber, anything like that, where we know there's there's a demand for those things. But if you're going to run Google ads, you might as well just do the keyword research, because that's all that's really going to, they'll already tell you if people are searching for that term. You don't need to know if they're going to click on your link at that point, right? Or should I do keyword research and then create landing pages for the keywords in my niche? Yeah, so that's what I would do. Just do your keyword research, figure out what people are actually searching for, then build the language for the landing pages around that. Okay, how are we doing on time? We are at 7:55, so I could go for another half hour probably if we have enough questions. I got the caffeine in me. Normally I'm a morning person, so that's why I used to like to do these in the morning. But it's not, as long as I have some caffeine, I'm good to go in the evenings. All right. Next one is from Sohn. It says, started a new YouTube channel. Do you have any suggestions or tips? Yes, I do. I paid a lot of money for my YouTube suggestions. Shout out to Tim Schmoyer and Video Creators. I took their program and it was really helpful. They basically dissected my channel. Sorry, I lost the video again. All right. So yeah, I've got some tips for you. The first one would be you want to make sure YouTube has one goal and one goal alone, to keep people on YouTube. So for that reason, you want to make sure that you're not sending people off of YouTube for every video. That was a mistake I was making. Every video is like, go to my website, as I have the website address down here, right? But every like fourth video, you can do that. You can send people to your lead magnet or back to your website. The rest of them, however, should basically tee up another video of yours for them to watch. So let's say you had a video you did last week, I don't know, about, I'm having trouble thinking of examples. But anyways, you did a video last week, and the video this week, you want to end it not by using what we call wrap-up language, where you start saying things like, all right, guys, well, hope that was helpful. Hope you enjoyed these tips. Go ahead and like and subscribe. That is as soon as people start hearing that, they know this video is over. They get out of there, right? What you want to do instead is just seamlessly go from teaching this tip, and the next thing I want to teach you is how to do this. And I've got a video all about it. Click right here, and then you'll have the little, the video call to action end screen there, and it'll seamlessly throw them to that video. Does that make sense? So the other thing you want to do is make sure your thumbnails are good and eye-catching, because that's how most people decide if they're going to give it a chance at all. So that's what I can give you for now. All right, next one is from Noel Otieno. What's your advice for the best homepage info hierarchy to ensure best lead generation? Okay, so quickly, hierarchy for your homepage. Hero section at the top, telling people exactly what you do and how that benefits them. A little call to action. And then underneath that, you want to have 3 benefits generally. There's a bit of, you can play around a little bit with the order of these things, but I like that order. I like going from the hero to the benefits. And then underneath that, you want to have, let's see, like for lead generation, you say this. So this is kind of more or less for a lead magnet, I'm assuming. You want to go into a little bit of your credentials, I would think at that point. Not being self-indulgent though. You don't want to just talk about yourself at length. You want to tie it back to how you help your people who download your lead magnet, your clients, how you help them with the same issue the reader's likely experiencing. So you talk about your credentials quickly, and then you segue into how that helps your students, your clients, what have you. And then underneath that, you'd have an opt-in form, just basically showing them, just a little box and what they need to do. Just ask for first name, email address, then the button to actually make the whole thing go. Then underneath that, if they're still not convinced, you might want to have some bullet points, really emphasizing curiosity, like what they're going to learn in this lead magnet. I love doing that. So you're not giving away all the stuff, but you're opening their mind to and if you want to see how I do this, just go to wesmcdowell.com/training, and then you'll see the bullet points under there, how I write them in a way that's curiosity piquing, right? people read those things and they're like, I kind of want to know what those keys are, what those secrets are, right? So that's how I would do it. And then end it with another little opt-in block. So opt-in block, then the bullet points, then another one. You know, that's generally kind of pretty all-purpose and should be a good start. Okay. Let's see, where did I leave off here? Okay, from Claudia Pollock, are featured snippets worth it? And what's the best length and strategy to get them? All right. So featured snippets is what we talked about a little bit ago, which is when you do a Google search and then you see like you type in a question and then it'll be like a short answer up top, like how many quarts in a liter, and it'll just kind of have a quick answer up there. Yeah, are they worth it? This is a good and loaded question because on one hand, they're good because you're showing up on the first page in position 0, they call it. The drawback is though, if they don't need to go to your website, did they ever really attribute you as giving them that answer? Some maybe, maybe not. So it's kind of, I like doing these anyway, just as part of that good SEO strategy, the content cluster strategy I talked about earlier. But I definitely think you need to have these posts, even if it's not for featured snippets. You want to have them on your site. They answer questions. And generally speaking, you want these to be about 100 to 200 words, just really short. And then you should be good to go at that point. So whether they're worth it or not is up to you, but I don't see a whole lot of use in them actually. Like I used to think they were much more valuable than I do now. All right. Next one is from Neando1. What way would you recommend promoting my photos of Ireland? I've tried Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram, but little to no success. So basically we're talking about products here. Yeah, so in this kind of thing, if it's like photos, I assume they're prints. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time in anything e-commerce. That's not really my realm. But I would recommend probably Facebook ads for that. Just make sure you use your best photos. Make sure they stand out in the feed. Maybe a carousel ad showing a few of them going by, maybe framed. I don't know. That's kind of a tough one, but I think the first thing that comes to my actually not Facebook. The first thing that comes to my mind would be Instagram for that. Maybe Pinterest. But yeah, good luck with that. Sorry I couldn't be more help with it. Okay. Next one from Troy Casanova. What's a good WordPress plugin to track which buttons or call to actions are clicked on my site? Yeah, so I don't know that there's a plugin, but there's a third-party basically software called something egg. You might have to do a little Google search on this. Just type in egg heat map. But it's based. It's driving me nuts that I can't remember it, but it's a heat map tool basically that keeps track. It's not a plugin that's on your site. Well, it probably ends up becoming a plugin on your site. But yeah, it's a paid one though, and you have to just set that up, and then they keep track of exactly what people are doing on your site, what buttons they're clicking, how far they're going down your pages, what page, some of these things Google Analytics can tell you, but I like those kind of heat mapping tools if you really want to get to the bottom of all that good stuff. All right, from Anastasios, Black Friday is coming and we're preparing. Can you share some tips and must-dos for Facebook and landing pages? Okay, so one thing you need to know about Black Friday and that whole Christmas season is you can expect Facebook ad prices to go through the roof. Just so you're aware of that. You probably already are, but so in that case, you really need to be sure that your landing pages have a lot of carryover from your ads. Meaning, if anyone that clicks on that ad is thrown off in any way when they get to your site, it doesn't look the same. It feels like a different company. That is going to get people to back out almost immediately. So make sure whatever images you're choosing, colors you're using, copy style, all carries over onto the new page. And make sure also I'm glad you said landing pages, because what you don't want to do is send people to your homepage. You want to make sure they're going to the proper landing page for whatever service you're talking about. And in terms of, when we're talking about Black Friday, what we're really talking about is some kind of deal. So what you really want to do is make sure your deal is enticing enough to really make a go of it. So what I recommend, generally speaking, is like these days, Black Friday through Cyber Monday, like kind of taking advantage of that whole weekend, that Friday through Monday. Other than that, though, this has a lot to do with e-commerce. You don't see a whole lot of service businesses doing Black Friday specials, but all you really need to do, highlight the offer, make sure you're not just sending them to the landing page that's business as usual on your site. It is all about the offer. Make sure you got testimonials, please. Like, that's something that people definitely need to see. They need to see those 5 stars, all that good stuff. Make it just a no-brainer for them with the price, and then with all the social proof and the benefits as well. So good luck with that. Let me know how it turns out for you. Yeah, it's always an exciting time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay, hold on, drink break. Okay, next one. And this is another one about art and decor. How do I get more? And I have no name for this one, sorry. How do I get more love from Google? My website, which is Equestrian Art and Decor, has been up for about a year. I get very few people finding me on Google. Are Google ads worth it? It's Remily and Company Design. This is e-commerce. I can't give you too much advice here. I don't know, are people searching for equestrian art on Google? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe they aren't. You need to do that keyword research. Again, use Ubersuggest, see what people are typing in. If not, Google ads might not be worth it. They might not be the best bet. You might want to try Instagram ads or Pinterest ads, that kind of thing. Or promoted pins, I think they call them there. But that actually might be a good idea, because people might be typing that into Pinterest. So do your keyword research there as well and see what you can find. Okay. This one's another e-commerce one, but I'll do it quickly. If I have Halloween products to sell, but they can all fit different niches also, should I do a general ad on Facebook, or should I do more based on the niche each product is part of? I don't know enough about this, and this is D from California. Halloween products, but they can fit into different niches as well. I really don't know what to tell you, D. I don't know enough about this, and I really don't know e-commerce, so I'm so sorry. Okay, next we have from Jeff. When is the best time to start a Facebook ad, particular what day and time? So this one is a little, there's not generally like a best time to start, but I mentioned that program I'm in that Amanda Bond puts on, and she recommends starting an ad Sunday night at 5 p.m. Let it run for the week. That's more for the test though. So I would say if you're just doing an ad and it's going to be running, no best time to start. But if you're going to do a test, I like to give it a week. And I do think there's some wisdom in that Sunday night at 5 p.m. and then let it go till Friday at 5 p.m. So you get kind of that whole Monday through Friday, unless you're more, direct to consumer, where you think maybe they're going to be doing more on the weekend. It's a tough call. It's up to you. But I think if you're doing Instagram ads, you might want to do those on the weekend, because studies do show Facebook ads are, people don't generally do them on the weekends as much, and Saturdays are the busiest day for Instagram, so go figure. You might want to do it then if it's Instagram, but keep in mind though too, you might want to give it that 3 days, because it's in that learning phase for 3 days, right? So you don't generally want to start your ad right when you want it to work, because it won't work right away. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay. From Lighten Up and Shoot Photography, does it affect my Google ranking if I change my address? So this is kind of a Google My Business question. Unfortunately, I think it does a little bit, at least in the short term, because Google My Business showing up in the map pack in the top, that's basically what they go on a lot. With a big ranking factor there is actually, oh, hold on, I gotta get rid of something here on my screen. Well, a big ranking factor for them is citations. Name mentions of your name, address, and phone number all across the web, generally speaking in directories, that kind of thing. So if you do all that work, and by the way, they want all those to be very consistent. So if you do all that work, you get all these citations built up, and then you change your address. It's a lot of work to change all those back. So what I would recommend is hiring a company like the Hoth, or I think Yext might do this. There's different companies that do it, that will take this on for you and do their best to change all of it for you, because it's tedious as hell. I'm not going to lie to you. And there's some that are going to be unchangeable, unfortunately. So is it going to affect you negatively? Possibly, but don't let that stop you from, unless you're doing really well now and you're just super afraid of losing your rankings. But having said that too, the other thing to keep in mind is you generally want your address to be as close to the where people are searching, which generally speaking means like kind of in the biggest concentration of people. Think like a downtown area. So if you're there now and now you're moving out to the suburbs and you want to rank in the city, that's going to be a problem too. But if you're doing it the opposite way, now it might help you big time. So all things to keep in mind. Generally speaking, you want them all consistent and you want to be as close to the city center as possible. But it's easier to change all your citations than it is to rank when you're on the outskirts. So whatever that means. All right. So next is from Internet King. I like your confidence, Internet King. What colors should I use on my website to build trust? So that's the kind of question that there's a lot of talk about that kind of thing, like color theory. I don't always subscribe to color theories. There's definitely some wisdom to some of it. I think in terms of building trust, they say blue is a big color for that. However, it's really much more about what's the overall package look like? Does your site look trustworthy or doesn't it? Usually has very little to do with the actual shade of the color. It's much more about, does it look like it's professionally designed? Does it look like you did it using, Wix over, within a couple hours? Are the photos blurry or grainy? Is the font choice unreadable? There's so many things that go into it that I think the color scheme is kind of the least of it. So make sure your logo looks good and professional. Make sure just the entire site looks like, I hate to say it this way, it sounds condescending, but like a real company. I can't tell you how many websites I look at where it just feels like this doesn't feel like a real company. It feels like they just kind of got in business yesterday and they just kind of didn't make much of an effort with their website at all. So, and I think you know what I mean. We've all been to sites like this. So think about that stuff before you worry about the colors, and I think you'll be fine. All right. Next, we have from Nadia Mukal, and she says, which plugin can help me to monitor leads for my real estate business? Please suggest some marketing and lead generation for a real estate website. So real estate is kind of a tough one because, SEO is really tough for real estate. Obviously, people tend to go to like Zillow and stuff, but there are things you can do for sure. What you want to do is really become a trusted source on your social media platform of choice, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. These are ways you can really get in front of people with helpful content. What you don't want to do is what I see so many real estate agents do, and I've got friends, I hope they're not watching, who do this. They're realtors, but I see their posts on Instagram, and it's basically, look at this new listing I got. Look at this place that just sold last week. It's a lot of bragging, right? It's a lot of just saying, look what I did. It's not really helpful for anyone. You're not going to get a lot of followers that way. So what I recommend instead is becoming an expert in your area, showing, tips about what's selling right now in this area. What can you do with lighting to stage your play? Just little known things that kind of are off the beaten path. Think of becoming like the HGTV, right, of your community. Go on camera. That's the kind of thing and use your hashtags correctly. Don't just use what I call like novelty hashtags that a lot of like people like. I see a lot of like hashtag just sold, which is like realtors look that up, right? People that are looking for real estate don't write that. So do what you can there. SEO is going to be a tough putt, at least getting started. But do that, do Instagram ads if you want to. Do what I talked about earlier with that three-pronged strategy of the connect, commit, close ads, where you get them in with a helpful video, then you segue, you remarket to the people who watch 3 seconds of it with an ad to get them into your lead magnet, which again should be something helpful like home staging tips or home buying tips, but make it specific. Don't make it just general purpose. And then the third ad for people who downloaded that is basically getting them into a call with you or a consultation with you. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Next we have from Sherry McLaughlin Ryan. What does an internal link mean? Okay, so I'll just do this quickly. So internal links are basically links where you link to other pages inside your own website. So a backlink is from another site linking to your site, but an internal link would be like on your homepage, you link to a service page. That's all that is. It's all within your site. Okay. Let's see. From Brad Wolfgrim, he says, I have a site that was designed by a wannabe designer and looked terrible. I've been using your vids, thank you, you're welcome, to clean it up, but I'm wondering if starting from scratch would be better for the performance of the site. Without seeing your site, Brad, I really don't know the answer to that question. Sometimes it's just a matter of making a few tweaks, but that's generally when it already looks pretty good, like you like it, and you're just kind of adding more content to it. I think if you're really unhappy with the design of it, you're probably better off just starting from square one, unfortunately. But they make it really easy now with Elementor and WordPress. You can get up and running very quickly. I've got several videos that'll get you started, basically teaching you the ropes of Elementor. And you can go to wesmcdowell.com/training to get into my masterclass, which is going to show you almost everything you need to know to get it done in pretty much a weekend. Like a big weekend, a hard-working weekend, but you can get it up and running pretty quickly. I'll show you exactly what you need and what you don't need there too. Okay, from David Parsons. Hold on, sorry. Lost track here. Okay. From David Parsons, what's the most economical and effective way of getting Google and Facebook reviews from customers? So basically, my favorite way of getting reviews from people, it's to ask them. It's kind of a boring answer, but with a twist. What I like to do, because you cannot incentivize, I don't know if Facebook has any rules about that at all. I generally tend to go more for Google reviews, but depends on where your customers are coming from. So if you want to get Facebook reviews, just look this up, see if they penalize incentivizing reviews. I mean, I don't know how they would check for what it's worth, but Google definitely frowns on that. They actually don't want you doing that. But what you can do is incentivize them in a different way by saying, have all your employees, if you do have employees, once they've finished helping one of your clients or customers, say, hey, if you liked your service today, it would really help me out if you could leave a positive review, and then give them a card with the link on it, and then have it be a short link, by the way, and then have their name on it and say, if you mention my name in this review, I get a bonus from my employer, right? So basically you'd have to institute a policy within your business that, anyone who solicits a positive review gets a, $50 Amazon gift card or something. So what you're doing is you're appealing to their good nature by saying, if you leave this review, it will help me out. And generally speaking, people want to do the right thing when you make it easy on them. So hopefully that helps. Okay. This is the last one I've got right here. And this is from Sonia Sani. Would you be able to share how to run a Facebook funnel using a video to start with? Yeah, and this is something I touched on earlier, that three-phase approach where you use the video as the first, the trigger point for your whole sales funnel. So again, it's a helpful video teaching 3 tips or some piece of advice or some kind of a mindset shift, something like that, where it triggers all the rest of the action. They watch for 3 seconds, that puts them into the remarketing audience to get more stuff. So yeah, it's pretty simple, really. It just gives them an easy way to raise their hand to say, I'm interested in this subject. I want to hear more about it. And they've watched you on video now. So now they're much more warmed up and ready to do business with you. All right. Let's see. I've got a few more here. I don't have any more on my document, and we've just got a few more minutes left here. Let's just see if we have anything. This one is from Alicia Sanmogan. Any tips on getting more readers to a new self-improvement blog? Yeah, again, this is another thing that I'm not really an authority on, is like blogging for business, just having a blog as a business. But anytime you want to get more people to your website, so first of all, when you're talking about a blog, you want to make sure it's SEO'd out, right? You want to make sure that you're doing it's long enough and it's good enough to really get those eyeballs and keep people on the site. So I hate to say it, but it's got to be a good article first and foremost. And it's got to be properly structured with the right H1, H2s. Your keywords that you want to rank for are going to be in the articles. And then the other thing you need to do is make sure that your search engine listings are written out properly. So the title, think about when you do a Google search, every listing there has a title and a description. Most people do kind of a crappy job writing those. So if you make yours better than the rest, telling them what they're going to learn in it, just writing them with intent, what that's going to do is it's going to make sure. So if people are clicking your listing more than Google thinks they should at that position, it's going to start rising up the ranks. Other thing you can do is repost it, not repost it. You don't want to do that. You want to post it on your site first, then maybe do an alternate version or a short version on Facebook or LinkedIn. And then in that first comment, you link to it. You link to the real thing. So you're building an audience on social, and then you're getting them to your website that way. All right. Let's see. So what do we have here? I'm trying to find a good one here. Let's see, from Sunny. I own a towing company and am struggling with my Google My Business website and overall business. I've tried to optimize everything, but find some personal reasons getting in the way. I'd like to be a client and paid for help. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't do that kind of service anymore. I do consulting. So if you wanted to go to my website, you can go there to set up a consulting call, but I don't really do these things for clients anymore. Yeah, sorry about that. From Brian Landis, content is so important on a website. So in a site build, why do a lot of webmasters ask their clients to provide the content when the clients probably don't know how to write good content? Okay, very interesting question. So Brian, what I'd say about that is the content is very important. There's 2 types of content here that we're talking about though. One is sales content, right? Like homepage, service pages. That's building a case for working with you. The other kind of content is best done by the business owner, which is the blog posts, the expertise style articles that a copywriter will never be able to do as good a job with because they don't know the source material. They don't have the knowledge for it. But a copywriter should be providing the copy for the sales pages, all that good stuff. Because yeah, writing for the web, writing to sell, is an art form unto itself. So when I used to work with clients, which I did up to very recently, I actually hit a turning point where I stopped even giving them the option of saying, do you want to provide the content or do you want us to provide it? If you want to work with me, we're providing the content for a few reasons, because A, they would never generally provide it. It just, life got in the way. And then B, they're not copywriters. So it makes sense. You definitely want to hire a good copywriter for those pages. You want it, a good copywriter, though, needs to have enough of a discovery call with you. They need to find out what makes you as a business tick, what makes you, what makes you the one that people should work with, what are your benefits. So they need to know all those things to do their job properly, but then they need to be the one to distill all those points into really well-honed sales copy. So yeah, that's a great question, Brian. Okay, let's see. This might be our last one, guys, from Liam. What are the biggest ranking factors for SEO? Is it backlinks or lots of content? What are your thoughts on HubSpot? All right. Okay, big ranking factors for SEO. Oh, sorry, I lost the feed again. All right. So the biggest ranking factors are, it's the content and it's the backlinks. You hit both of them. So what we need is good on page, which is the right content using the right keywords. But here's the thing, it has to be written for people too. If it's not, there's a lot of people I see on YouTube that talk a lot about SEO, but they're basically just writing it for robots, to where when a person gets to that page, they're kind of turned off, right? It's like, this doesn't feel like it's like, why do I want to work with these people? They've got all the right words, but they're not telling me anything. So what you want to do is write your pages first and foremost to be persuasive for people. That's where that copywriter comes in that we talked about. Then you want to kind of work in those keyword phrases where they make sense too. And first of all, you got to do the keyword research. You got to put them in the H1s, H2s, body copy a few times, all that good stuff. Landing page strategy, what keywords go with what pages. Then you do still need to do that work of getting backlinks. Google likes to act like this isn't a thing anymore. Unfortunately, what Google says and what they reward are often two very different things. So they say, don't worry about backlinks, just write good content. But then the place down the street from you with all the backlinks is like outranking you, right? So you got to have both. Again, I recommend someplace like the Hoth, or just go on Uplink, or not Up, sorry, Upwork, to find someone to do this for you. I really don't recommend going through and doing backlinking yourself. It's so tedious, and you're much better off running other parts of your business. So, all right. Anyway, guys, this has been fun, and I hope I was able to answer everyone's questions here. But we're going to be doing this every couple months, and next month, I think it's after Thanksgiving, but it might be before. I'm not really sure. Well, I'm going to be reviewing your sites for mobile. So come with your websites and I'll pull them up right on my phone. It'll pop up on the screen and I can show you where you can improve there. So stay tuned for that. You might want to subscribe to the channel to get those updates if you haven't already. And go to wesmcdowell.com. Check out that's where all my stuff is. That's where all the videos are, all the podcasts are, all that good stuff. So anyway, guys, this has been fun, and I cannot wait to do it with you again very soon. All right, now sorry. All right, bye for now, guys. Talk soon.